You're watching All24 News. Good evening and welcome to this exclusive All24 News special, broadcasting live from the International Conference Center in Algiers, at the heart of the 4th African Startup Conference. For 3 days, more than 40 ministerial delegations, 25,000 participants, 300 international experts and 150 investors gather here to shape a new African vision, a continent where innovation, sovereignty and emerging technologies define our future. Today, our focus is on artificial intelligence, not as a distant concept, but as a real engine of transformation for Africa. To explore this, I'm honored to welcome Mrs. Yasmina Kazitani. She is ranked among the top 50 women in AI and blockchain in emerging markets. She's also an innovative leader and a strong advocate for the adoption of frontier technologies across Africa and beyond. Mrs. Kazitani Yasmina, welcome on All24 News.
Thank you very much for having me today.
So, the first question, we say that Africa is often described as the next frontier for AI. From where you stand, so here, working with emerging markets, pioneering new AI models, how would you describe Africa's future in AI?
I would probably start by putting a context to what I'm saying, because I do work on a worldwide basis. I'm heading one of the biggest conglomerate in terms of innovation and the blockchain, and we work across Latin America, Asia, Europe, and the US. And I can tell you that today, the biggest talent, the biggest potential comes from African. Why? Because 70% of the generation across the African continent are under 30. And they are savvy in terms of technology. What I mean by that is that they have not gone through all the steps that European, American gone. They did the leap of faith in terms of technology, because today the 70% of population have access to internet, speak English without going to schools. They have done everything through internet, while the others are reeling. While the others are just kind of having fun, the African are taking advantage of the internet. And that's why, from my perspective, the future is here in our continent rather than theirs. That's from the, for the demographic side of it. From the infrastructure also, is you have the biggest pool of talent that today can be the pool for the rest of the world, but tomorrow will be the consumption side of it, but also the creator side of it.
Yeah.
So for me, today we are going to build the next generation of the tech people from Africa, with African, but for international consumption.
Exactly. So governments, as you said, or in general, younger generations rely sometimes on governmental regulations, especially, and policies to thrive. And you work directly with governments, private sector, and startups. What unique advantages does Africa offer in building an AI-driven future? So, and what are the major gaps we must urgently maybe address?
So, to start with answering the question, I'm going to start with the first one, which is the regulation side of it. And as discussed with government representative of Algeria, we need to catch up on the latest regulation and the framework in terms of what the others are starting to do. They haven't done yet. As for today, I am a board member into the UK Parliament when it comes to regulation framework, because even the most advanced countries such as the US and UK don't have regulation yet on AI. We're working with them to help them with our organization to build this framework. So at this stage, Africa, Algeria can catch up within 2 months rather than 10 years, because nothing has been really built up. So this is the easiest part. When it comes to the second question, how are we going to do that and take advantage, is because Africa in general, we take the leap of faith again. Everybody takes ages to go through the process to make it happen, right? So everybody, like let's say Europe, when internet came, they put the infrastructure, then they start building things together, and then they put the elements and the content on it. And then they made a lot of mistakes, and Nokia has made a lot of mistakes from an infrastructure point of view, right? And then they start building on it. When it comes to Africa, the advantage is we look at what the others have done, in a wrong way, we shorten it, we streamline it, and we do it already. So for example, very easy, we know that today Algeria has invested in data center, right?
Yeah.
So that could be the biggest advantage to build up, you know, one of the biggest centers for the African to build on healthcare, edtech, and content, you know? So we can build AI agent based on African behavior and make that something that is specifically for us. From a healthcare perspective, Africa is non-represented in any of the pharmaceutical models today, right?
Exactly.
Same things for education.
It was taught during the last maybe African Ministerial Conference on the production of medicines and other health technologies. So you spoke about AI agents. So my question is, how do AI agents maybe can reshape employment, productivity, skills across the African countries? And do you see them as a threat? Because some parties see the AI agents as a threat.
I would start by saying, when internet came, people were thinking that the social media and internet was taking over TV and radio, right? And I don't think that the AI agent would at any point take over your work. We created the first AI agent for Westminster University and Real University in 2022. When OpenAI was just kind of opening there, we used a model of speaking, and we know where the danger is and when the advantage are. And I can tell you from today where I'm standing, because I am at advisory board of many projects from edtech to gaming to entertainment to healthcare, that I am not afraid of the agents or agentic, as we try to call them in the industry, because we don't have enough data to build models. Today we do have a lot of data in Europe, in US, because that's what they gather the information. When we talk about Africa, we have so little information that we can't build models. Because what are the AI agent? AI agent are models, statistic, data that we gather, we clean, and then we kind of, model around something. I want you to calculate for me how many times there are storms across Africa. We don't have this data. So that's what your agent will do.
So we speak about data, and you mentioned earlier that Algeria has worked on one big data center, a common one that links different sectors, ministerial sectors and others. So how can maybe other African countries benefit from Algeria's experience?
I would probably say this is what we're working with, because one of the things that are the most important is the data center that have been built up by Algerie Telecom are one of the biggest investments. And all the governments around know that this is a big investment. African countries cannot compete with that because we put money into the right infrastructure. Now what we need to do is take this data center, use them to create models. So that means that the African will have to share their data with us. And today the Prime Minister, the head of the African Union, they all said we want to build something by African for African. So imagine that all the countries of Africa send all their data on healthcare, on entertainment to Algeria, and then we build in the back models on how people are behaving, how many kind of illnesses we can avoid if we gather this data.
Exactly.
This is what the next generation will look like.
So it will be technology controlled by Africans and for Africans. You're also a leading voice in blockchain and AI in emerging markets. So how can blockchain support the development of startups, secure and also transparent and sovereign AI ecosystems across the continent?
I would probably say one thing that I say it to the UK Parliament and Washington, so Trump's administration, who we advise also, is that the blockchain is here to avoid the control of the big corporation. Big GAFAs are centralized. So they have our data, they have everything. And if Africa want to get out of it, they need to build something on decentralization which belongs to them. Stay with them. I don't need to have a data center that copy all of my information to the US and come back, because that means that they know exactly who you are, what you're eating, what illness you have, what you're watching, what you buy. Do you want someone else to have your third part and can manipulate you? That's what I think. Blockchain is decentralization system. It's like having different structures that doesn't belong to one person.
Yeah.
It can belong to the governments because they are building the country, but not to a corporate, because that starts being a conglomerate. And if it's a conglomerate, then it means manipulation. And we don't want African to be manipulated anymore, right? We want our freedom from a tech side of it.
And all this relies on data, so data is the essence of AI. But in many African countries also, this is a major challenge because there are many, the collection of data, regulations and governance. So what would be a strong African strategy for the collection of data?
I would probably start by saying that any regulation today on centralized is kept by the big corporation under their hood. And that goes for all the Western countries which we see today. One of the roundtables that I did with the UK government on the 7th of November was on digital identity, okay? And digital identity in Europe is important because it's your data. And it's centralized with some corporation. And they don't have a framework around that. They're still working on it. So it's they're rolling out digital identity today in UK, and it's a big struggle. So that's why I'm saying Africa can catch up faster, really faster than anything else that we have done in the last 50 years. Why? Because if we can experiment, pilot things, make them happen, then we're not going to take example of others. They will take example of us. In terms of how do we deal with that, right? How do we use it for the benefit of everybody?
Exactly, and for this purpose, how can governments maybe build trust in their citizens, in AI agents, and also especially among citizens who might be skeptical or unfamiliar with these new technologies?
I would probably start by saying that we have had very bad publicity around AI. AI is an algorithm. It's statistics. If you have studied statistics at school and you've been good, you know how to kind of create models around an analytical, Excel spreadsheet. So that's kind of the basic of it. But how government can build up? They start by having a vision on what do we want to build in the next 5 years for it, right? Something very simple is your digital card for your healthcare. Wherever you go from Algeria, Tunisia, Libya, going even to Rwanda, today, you have your card, and if you're traveling there and you're sick, you can travel with your own data. So that's kind of secure. They don't need to know everything about you. So if I go tomorrow to Tunisia and I have a tooth problems, then I charge my card, right? And this data that we're gonna gather around me, it's gonna be shared half. They don't need to know where I live, how much I earn, and all this information. The digital data healthcare.
Only the medical background of the patient.
The minimum one, again.
Yeah.
Think of it as your passport. Your passport is your official thing. So you have a passport for civical one that you can travel with. You have a healthcare one. You have an entertainment and shopping one, all under one wallet. And you can travel across Africa easily. And everybody can take as much information as needed, not as much as they should. And that's where government need to be protective of their citizen, but also around what they want to build around that.
And of course, none of this can happen without people, talent and education and diversity in tech ecosystems. So you're listed among the 50 top women in AI in emerging markets, an inspiration. This is an inspiration for many. What message do you have for young women in Africa, young innovators, leaders, entering the fields of AI, gaming or blockchain?
First things is, as I said to some students today who came to us, is believe in what we are doing, because most of the students or the people in Africa who come to me for advice are like, but you made it. And I said, yes, I made it because I come from Algeria. I was born, raised, worked here, which means that I was raised in an environment that was not easy. And I was complaining like everybody else. But guess what? That helped me being a big performer and fighter elsewhere, because we come with the minimum. Think about this. We have to fight for 80% because we are given 20%. We are a young country. We have 50 years old, right? We go to Europe. They are minimum 300 years empires, right? They give 80% and the people need to do just the 20%. You just change and you move there. And hell, yes, we're doing better than you then. We are like, more performant. We're like fighters. We're good at what we're doing, and we master what we do. So for us, it's not a problem of because we come. It's because we come from there, we may be better.
And is that maybe from hardship comes ease? This is what you are telling. Scaling beyond local markets in the continent remains a challenge for many African startups, actually. What must African AI startups do to compete internationally in other continents, maybe in Europe or the US or elsewhere?
I would probably always say, because we are trying to help a lot of from Uganda, from Kenya, from Nigeria and South Africa. I mentor many of these programs, and 100% time I keep telling them, guys, you don't need to go international. You start by securing your national market, then your regional market, because they are the most important. Then international come to you. We're not into, I need to go international. You know why this mindset? Because the European market are so small that they need to, as soon as they come out, they need to go out to earn money, get revenues. Africa is a huge already continent with a lot of revenue. Why are you leaving to, like, I'm giving you an example of gamings, right? Gamings, everybody sees the gaming as like, I'm just playing, or the kids are playing. It's a content industry, right? It's entertainment industry. People don't see it. It is valued to $2 billion this year.
And an educative one too. It can be used for education purposes at the same time.
You can use it for education. You can make a game. Imagine having the story of Lemir Abdelkader from our history, or anything about Nelson Mandela on an immersive Fortnite style, but African made. This is big, right? You have this kind of things that are important. Healthcare, you push people to do something through games, right? To make them walk, to make them kind of get to do something. So again, we're looking at it from the wrong angles. And we need, first of all, to understand that we have a big market with $2 billion that is ready for us. Guys, we need to kind of fulfill this market, then to go outside.
Also, with 150 investors present here at the African Startup Conference, they have all maybe the same issue sometimes, and most of them, which is financing. How can these startups, especially specialized in AI startups, can find access to financing for their projects?
Well, one of the things that I was discussing with some VCs today and some banks around is that they talk about a lot of money, but there is no process to break it down to the startups. So again, what I probably say is, let us make sure that the infrastructures, the railways, you want to train to work from Algiers to Riba, right? Or from Algiers to Tunis. You need to build a railway. And right now we have the coach, but we do not have the railway. So let us build the railway with the VCs. What do they need? How does it kind of work? Because I do raise money for, startups outside of the continent. And I can tell you that there is family office, there is government help, and there is investment fund specifically. Today, Africa doesn't have an investment fund specifically for innovation. That's the first thing, because all the VCs I talked to was like, what do you invest? What was the last investment in the last 24 months in Africa? Nobody was able to give me a data. Mm-hmm. Okay, then my second question is, how do you go through the money to finance them? Do you go through local banks? Do you go through local family office? Do you go through something to give them money? Mm-hmm. Someone cannot send you money directly to your bank account, right? Yeah. You need to have a process. And sending you money means that you're giving equity of your company. So that's legal bending. Mm-hmm. So that's kind of like a whole, framework around that.
Exactly. Nowadays, AI is used in every sector. So actually, Africa has the world's youngest population. How do we turn this demographic advantage into an AI advantage? So what is it through universities, maybe research centers, etc.? How can these pools, educative pools and higher education centers and universities be used to promote AI?
I would probably say start by the basics. If every university or every, let's say, school from 15 years old include an AI module, then you are building the next generation. They understand prompting, they understand how the AI works, and then they can be more like research and development open source, because everyone wants to contribute. So you're going to have someone from Egypt contributing, someone from Cameroon contributing. They will contribute with their own insight from their local things. That will build a super intelligent body that can be seated in Algerian telecom servers and building for Africa. This is how you do it.
Yeah. Maybe also fast forward to 2030. What's your boldest prediction for Africa's AI future? So for shaping Africa's AI future maybe in the next 5 years.
I will start by two sectors. The first one that I see going fast would be probably the finance. And I think that will be thanks to African people who are mobile friendly. So basically they are like, we are the population who has 99% of penetration. So finance and neobanking is going to be the first things to come through. And the second part is healthcare, because we're going to be gathering more data than anything, and it's going to be less biased. So if by then we can be saving a lot of life.
Exactly. Thank you so much,
Pleasure.
Mrs. Yasmina Kazitani, so for all your insights. Thank you so much also, dear viewers, for keeping it here on All 24 News. The African Startup Conference is also continuing during these days. Many innovators, young leaders, and ministerial delegations and more are gathering here to find solutions and to help young talents emerge and create their own startups. Thank you for keeping it here. Until next time, do take care.